If you feel stuck in your career or you just think that AI is going to leave you behind, this conversation is for you. Welcome to the another episode of the podcast series, The Conversations with Florid. Today's guest is Chris Kulbaba. He has spent over 2 decades helping thousands of people writing their or rewriting their professional stories. We are diving into his core word strategy, the hidden job market, and why he thinks that AI might actually be the greatest tool human connection has ever seen. We'll also learn about his early stage of career and what he's doing at this stage of his life. Let's get started. So let's hear directly from the Chris. Welcome, Chris, and thank you very much for being here. It's an honor to have you, and let's get started. Let me start with, how are you?
Oh, Florid, as I said before, and I will say again, I am too blessed to be stressed. Life is wonderful. I'm sitting here with some very interesting people that are allowing me to live my authentic self, which is sharing stories.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
Thank you.
So let's go way beginning of your career, and you have helped so many people rebuild their career for almost 25 years.
Yeah. Well, it's been very interesting. So I'm going to take you back actually to the very first job I had. 14 years old, believe it or not. Now I'm a little older, so the regulations were a little bit looser back then. But I was working in restaurants, and my first job was at the Arby's south of the 401. It's still there. I was the guy that made the beef early in the morning. But what it really taught me, even at such a young age, was that nobody does it alone. Nobody goes it alone. And that was where I started to learn about teams and team building. From there, I worked in other restaurants. I did sales. In my early 20s, I worked at a factory. And it didn't take me very long to understand I did not like working on the plant floor. So I had to figure out something else to do. Well, this was a union shop. You bid on jobs. So there's a job that came up in the back, and they called it a blender. You're blending raw materials. And it was plastics. It was vinyl siding. The place is gone now. It closed in 2008. But this is the early 90s. I'm a young fella. And all of a sudden, for the princely sum of $14.82, I thought I had won the lottery. Yes. I got to be a blender. But nobody else bid on it. And I'm like, why did nobody else bid on it? Well, that's actually because the other guy died of cancer. So the first job that I had was because somebody died of cancer. And I would go to work in a full, have you seen those Environmental Protection Agency guys with this? That was me. We would tape up our ankles. We would tape up our wrists. We would have an air hood that blew air so that we didn't breathe in these very terrible chemicals. I did that job for years. And I worked in the factory for about 17 years.
Wow.
I was a union leader. I was the elected union chair, Joint Health and Safety Committee co-chair. In early 2000s, the ministry was hiring health and safety inspectors. And my managerial half, I was in labor and he was in management. And it was funny because we were both trying for the same job with the ministry. So we would say to each other, I heard they're doing this. Meanwhile, we had just been on the interview. Oh, well, I heard this. So we were trying to kind of pike at each other because the ministry opened up 200 jobs.
Right.
Very lucrative.
Yes.
Because there were 23,000 applicants for 200 jobs. So you filled out a form, and then you had to go, they had it at the Delta Armories, sat you in a room and you did a logic test, and then you had to do a behavioral interview, then you had to do a second behavioral interview, then you had to be interviewed by a manager and 2 safety inspectors to be offered the job. I know that because I got to the final finish line. I didn't get the job, but I got a lot of experience about what it takes to create a career, what it takes to mold yourself into a career. So that was very interesting. The place closed. After that, I said, okay, well, now what? So the government stepped in, and at the time they had funded what is called an action center. So the place closed. There were 232 people that were affected. So the government funded us to help these folks get retrained with new careers, which was wonderful because these were my people that I had already been caring for 17 years. And I got to care for them one last time, which was great. So in 18 months, we had a mandate. The government said, hey, in order to do a good job, we need 73% of these people to find work. We said, hold my beer. We did 93, which was absolutely fantastic.
Right.
We had programs that were with Fanshawe. We had programs that were with other providers. The Second Career Program came in. We were part of a study that had improved the Second Career Program. We'd improved community services. We'd sped those up, and we actually had started populating and mentoring other action centers. And it was also a chance for everybody to say goodbye to their old life. Because every time you start something new, God gave us two hands. One's to help ourselves and one's to help everyone else. If you keep holding with both hands, you really don't get anything new. So we had to help people let go because it was very difficult. Some of those people were there for almost 30 years. And if you say to somebody who's been a factory worker for 30 years, well, thanks, now go do something else. It's really, really scary. So that was wonderful. And then I got into the community, again, doing employment. And this time, I got to help people with disabilities, which was absolutely fabulous. So if you had a neurological disorder, if you had a genetic disorder, if you had Tourette's, or if you had anything that stopped you from finding work that was a significant disability, I was your guy. And I did that for a number of years and helped about 3,000 people find work. And there's a bit more to the story after that, but it's much more recent. So I'll let you ask the next questions.
So when someone feels stuck with their career, what is the first thing that you fix with them? Is it the mindset or the resume?
I love how you asked that question. And I'll share with you why, because that is the question that everyone asks themselves. The very first moment that you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to figure out something else. How do I fix this problem? And we have a lens that we look through that it is a problem and it's a constraint. It's not a problem. So when you say, I need to fix this, what you actually are communicating is, well, that's broken. So one of the first things I ask people is, what are you proud of? I don't care what you did. I don't want to know that. What I really want to know is, what were you proud of? It doesn't matter to me if it was hunting Pokemon on your cell phone or cooking eggs for breakfast, or maybe you like latch hooking. I'd have no preference to know anything other than, what are you proud of? Because when we're proud of things, they're born out of a struggle. And when we're proud of things, it means that I did this and I want to do more of that. So it's about a feeling. So much of what we would focus on is not what are you going to do, but what did you love so far? How can we do more of that? So a large part of what I did, and again, thank you for asking, was in career exploration. And again, these were people that just couldn't do what they were doing. I will never forget this British lady had a bit of a Cockney accent. She had this lovely bearing. She was kind of like everyone's grandma that you wish. She was this big personality, loud personality, but just filled with love. She could not be a PSW anymore because her knees were no good. And as a personal support worker, you need to move people. Well, what were you proud of? Well, I'm proud of so many things, she says. But the one I'm most proud of, she was servicing a gent who was about 400 pounds. He was a very large man, bedridden, couldn't move very easily. So her role was to come in and help him with activities of daily living. One of them was cleaning up. And she would give him a bed bath. Well, 400 pounds, there's a lot of him to move. So she says to his wife, I'd love to come talk with you because I can't keep doing this. Okay, they have a cup of tea. Why doesn't your husband want to have a shower? Well, it's not that he doesn't want to, it's that he doesn't fit in the shower. Well, what do you mean? Well, they had these sliding glass doors. So she looks at it and says, do you have a screwdriver? Yeah. Okay. Can I have it? 4? I'm going to take these doors off and then I'm going to get your husband and we're going to stand in there and I'm going to help him have a shower. Well, you're going to get all wet. Well, that's fine. I'm not made of sugar. I won't melt. Takes the doors off. Goes and gets the husband. Come on, love. You're not getting any cleaner and I'm not getting any younger. Let's go have a shower. Well, no, I don't want to. Now look, love, I talked to your wife and we've taken off the shower door and I'm going to stand in there and help you. Well, you're going to get all wet. I already told your wife I'm not going to melt. She puts on a glove, a loofah glove with a bar of soap underneath it. Now, this man had been in that bed for close to a year.
Wow.
She ran that water until it was cold. She scrubbed him, and there was lots of things to clean. But when she got out, he was as pink as a tomato. And guess what happened the next week when she came? He's already swinging his legs out. Fast forward a few months, he unfortunately passed away. So the proud moment for her was going to his funeral and his wife seeing her and running across and hugging her and telling her how much of a human her husband felt like the last few months of his life, all because of a shower. Now,
Yes.
another fun trivia fact, do you know, up until about 60 or 70 years ago, we never had hot water to shower with. We take it for granted.
Really?
But less than 100 years ago, we did not have indoor plumbing with heated water. But we just think of it as, but for this man, that shower, that was everything. So I know this was a roundabout answer, but what do I go and what do I ask people in order to start the next step of the journey is, what does your next step look like? And why? It's simple, but it's not.
Right.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Just asking the open-ended questions.
Yes. Everyone has a sense of vulnerability when they're in this role because they feel judged, and maybe their mom or dad said, Florid, you've got to be a nurse. Oh, okay, Chris, you have to be a rock star. I don't know, I tried that, didn't work. But what we are beholden to many times is somebody else's version of our story. And it's very hard for people sometimes to let that go and to realize that's okay. I'll tell you another very quick story. We would run this career exploration. We had people, you had to apply because, well, when I ran it, it was very popular. We had lots and lots of people apply, but they had to be ready to move. Not that we were judging them, but what we did instead was ask them, this is a lot of work. Are you ready to commit? And then they would. So one lady, she was, I would say, obviously of a rural, she was a farm worker. She came in dirty, mud-stained coveralls. And we're going around, what did you do? What did you do? And she says, well, I just work at a farm. Well, nobody does just anything. What do you do at the farm? Well, I sex chickens. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Well, how do you do that? Well, you take them and you flick them over, the chicks, and you squeeze them. And if something comes out, it's a boy. And if nothing comes out, it's a girl. Because the girls make money by laying eggs, and the boys, well, we sell them for food. Oh, okay. So help me understand what you're doing. How many in a day? Well, I work 12 hours and, a couple thousand.
What?
My finest pardon, what? Well, yeah, you got two hands, you go. Florid, honestly, to her, this was Tuesday afternoon. You would have needed a forklift to pick our jaws up off the floor. We could not believe what this woman did in a day. I said, can we just talk a little bit about this? Well, at the end of it, she had decided she had all sorts of stamina. She had all sorts of skills and leadership and decision-making and critical thinking. And the list was pretty long. And at the end, we just said to her that you're quite amazing. And at the beginning, she thought, well, I just tell boys and girls apart from chickens. Well, that's not all you did. So the message is that it's okay to do anything, but do it with glory, do it with passion, do it with fun, do it because you like to do it. And if you're doing it just for a paycheck, and if that's what you want, well, that's okay too. It's your decision, it's your journey. Don't let other people stand in the way. Thank you. That's a wonderful question.
Interesting.
Really good.
Interesting. You say a career is like a living tree. And
yeah.
Why do so many of us treat our professional lives like they are set in stone once we graduate?
We've bought into that, haven't we? We bought into, well, Florid, where it's like a moving goalpost.
Yes.
Well, Florid, this is great. And you hit this goal, and then the fog of your career clears up and there's another goalpost. Okay, Florid, now you've got to go over there. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, and away we go, and we hit that goal. And then the fog clears, and what happens? There's yet another goalpost. Until sometimes you get the goalpost where you're educated as a PhD, and then they say, well, no, you can't go backwards. Now there's no jobs left. Oh. So one of the things that I find truly fascinating is the inception of what we're using now as AI. AI has been around close to 100 years.
Yes.
It's just the format that we're using now in language models is a very different application.
True.
It's like using a nail to make a hole in a board. It's not very good. Well, then we invented drills. Okay. Interestingly enough, the guy that sold drill bits said, we don't sell drill bits, we sell holes. And that's what everyone seems to keep missing, is they think they're building the drill bit, but what they're doing is building a hole. It's the result. It is not the tool, but we get trapped in this. So now with AI, if I wanted to do something, I have this wonderful, well, it's somewhat of a neuroatypical professor because it only does exactly what I ask when I ask in a very pleasing framework. But I can learn stuff. I want to learn a language. I want to learn how to be a coder. I want to learn about software development. I want to learn about fixing my bicycle or building one. I can do anything I want. And that's something I would also tell people very often. In your career, Florid, you can do absolutely anything you want until someone tries to stop you. Just make sure it's not you. So what is it you're going to do next? You're right. We have this epitaph of a career. Here lies Florid. He was a great career guy. Okay. On mine, I'm going to have like 6 or 7 tombstones. Here lies, he was a process operator, forklift driver, safety consultant. He was a job developer, and it goes on and on and on. Because I've only get the one life to live. But if I squeeze it hard enough, one's probably going to be close to enough. We'll see. I'll let you know in a few more years.
Interesting. So you have a strategy about finding a single core word.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about it?
So one of the things that I do, you asked earlier about where do we start with people. First we asked, what are you proud of? And if you think of Friedrich Nietzsche was a philosopher, German philosopher, very angry. However, I will share one of the tenets that he had was that when someone decides upon the why of their goals, they can endure any how. Again, he was a little bit zeitgeist. But what I bring to that focus is that first we determine what are you proud of? And then we determine, what would you like more of? Oh, I would like more of this. We all need to do and we all need to be. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to be seen as. I need to be known for. I need to do. I need to be. Okay. So in order for that to happen, we need to figure out who you really are. So I challenge people and I say, I want you to give me one single word that I'm going to introduce you to my very good friend, Dream Maker. I'm going to make your dreams come true, but I only get one word to describe you. So if I could put you on the spot, Florid, what's your word? One word to describe who Florid is. Just one word.
I have so many words popping in my mind right now.
That's the trick, though. You only get one.
Enthusiast.
So okay, now let's fan this out a bit. Now you can have 2 more. Only 2. So an enthusiast. What are the other 2? Remember, these are defining. We're going to carve these in stone. These are not really. But what we're going to do is help you show how you're being revealed to other people. So the 2 other words. So an enthusiast.
I'm curious.
Curious. And the last one.
I have entrepreneurship skills.
Entrepreneurship. So the translation of an entrepreneur is French and means to manage an idea. Yes. So we have somebody who lives, they're doing a checkup from the neck up, making sure that everything's good and everything's hearty. So I would say, Mr. Dreammaker, I'd love to introduce you to my very good friend, Florid. I want you to think of the word curious, because that is the word that I would truly use to describe who Florid is. Curious about you, curious about me, curious about the world. He's so enthusiastic about everything because he just sees these connections that keep happening over and over and over again. And he doesn't really necessarily like to conform. What he does like to do is create and his curiosity and his enthusiasm meld together in this entrepreneurial role. I might ask Florid how many ways to use a paperclip. Florid comes back with, Chris, what if it was 13 feet tall, made out of cheese, and had vindaloo sauce on it? Because he makes wonderful food as well, I forgot to mention. Anyway, what else can I tell you about my friend Florid, Mr. Dreammaker? There you go. So here we have an elevator 30-second speech. Now, did that feel good, or did it feel interesting to have someone else reflect you that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that.
But that's who you are, because that's who you want to be seen as,
Right.
what you want to be known for. Because when you said enthusiast, let's pick that apart a little bit from a personality perspective. That's somebody who is a intuitive person. So an enthusiastic person is an intuitive person who is also extroverted. Because if you're introverted, you can be very enthusiastic, but by yourself doesn't really work that often.
True.
So likely you're somebody who is very extroverted. You love new things. That doesn't mean you want to take a risk, because you said, well, I'm also an entrepreneur. So the skills of an entrepreneur are really being planful and risk abatement or risk management. And you want to be a creator. You want to be a community-minded person. These are things I know because I've been observing you. So if you knit that together and I act as a mirror towards you, now you can go forward with a bit more confidence in knowing, well, yeah, that is how I want to be seen. Okay?
Right.
So that's step 2. First is, what are you proud of? And step 2 is, what do you want to be seen as? And I reflect. And you decide yes or no.
Wow. Wow.
It's a fun gig.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting the way that you kept it out, the way that you just created the entire elevator pitch within
Well, but I
few
didn't
seconds.
though, because all I
Yes.
did, no, you did. All I did was knit things together. You gave me the yarn and I knit it together to weave into something that looks familiar, but it was still you. I just
Wow.
listened to you. That's the secret.
Awesome. Awesome. Now I understand why that one word is way more powerful than a
Very.
5-page resume.
Well, and that's what we get trapped into, is that, you know, the resume, really all it does, in the 1930s, they had the Great Depression, and there was a business owner, this is a very true story, who felt very, very, very bad that he was going to have to lay off his staff. So he created a handbook of how to job seek. 100 years later, we're using the same book. Nothing's changed in 100 years. So a resume says, well, I do some stuff and I live here and here's how to get a hold of me. Well, okay, that's like having a ticket to the show, but the ticket doesn't tell me if it's Ozzy Osbourne or Def Leppard or maybe it's Iron Maiden or something. You know, it's just a ticket. It doesn't really tell me what I'm going to experience at the show. I need to make that determination myself. So there's several layers and there's several pieces. As job seekers, we feel like we're going to war. You know, I've got to get on my armor and I've got to sharpen my battle axe and I need to make sure my sword is at my hip and I need help to get on my horse, my war horse, my destrier, who is also, you know, emboldened and protected with armor. And then a bee comes and stings you and you're allergic to bees and you die. Welcome to job seeking. You practice and you practice, but there's no dragons to slay. There's no armor you need to put on. What you do need to do is figure out, I like to do this. I bring passion and focus to that. I love to be known as that. And if you have an ability to work in a team that allows you to express that in a way that feels good, well, then that becomes good too. So we're looking very much inward and outward. We're in religion, not to bring religion into this, but just a very short explanation. Yahweh, it's breath. Yahweh. So from the very foundation of who we are as human beings, it's about breath, it's about in, it's about out, it's about balance. We talked earlier about having forms and formats. Yes, it is a system, but that doesn't mean that it's a constrained, do this every time system. It means that we need to have a check and a balance. Does it feel as easy as breathing? If it does, it's probably a good job. Okay. Then you have other decisions to make after that.
Right. Amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Since you mentioned the job board,
Yep.
the most popular one that most of the people and we are using as well, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
most people use LinkedIn like a tombstone.
Yes.
Listing everything, basically, whatever they are doing with their life.
Yes.
How do we switch that from just that platform to attract people whom they really want to connect with, or possibly with the company
Yes.
they really want to be in?
Absolutely.
How do they make themselves seen
Yes.
on this platform?
Well, again, inward and outward. Outward, I'm going to talk all about my good friend Florid, or James, or Mary, or Joanne, whomever. So I'm going to spend a large part of my time celebrating other people and picking apart the things they do. If you're using LinkedIn as an entrepreneur, of course, there's lead magnets and lead generation. Buy my crap. So years ago, I was in Mexico. I've had a shaved head for a while. This is about 15 years ago. And we were in Playa del Carmen, and everyone's trying to get our attention. Hey, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. This one guy yells out, "Hey, Mr. Clean." Well, you're talking about me? "Mr. Clean, come look at my crap. My crap's way better than that guy's crap." I thought, okay, well, this at least he's not a salesman. So I didn't buy anything, but I did say to him, I said, pal, I'm not going to buy anything, but I'm going to give you $20. Because I got to tell you, that was worth $20 of entertainment to me. And I've been telling the story for about 15 years, so I think I've got my money's worth out of it. How do we get connected on LinkedIn? Stop using it and treating people like a breathing wallet. Number one, treat them like people. So what you can do is say, what's your favorite part of your role? You're working here. I'd love to work there. Who's the last person they hired? Who's your favorite person that's worked on that team? What did somebody do that made a real difference for you? Ask them questions that let them showcase to you who they are. Live in the comments section. Don't live in your own profile. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're trying to get you to buy their crap. Why do they want to buy your crap? So don't buy any crap. Live in the comments section of everyone else. And when you see somebody that offers a really great idea, then you focus in on that and you highlight that and you say, wow, this is really good. What most people fail to understand is all your opportunities, they're in the comment sections. They're not in your profile updates. They're not in the groups. They're in the comment sections because that's where people relate and connect. So if you'd like to find a job, find somebody that works at the role that you want or in the company that you want. Follow them. And who do they comment on? When do they comment on them? What type of comments are they leaving? Where am I going to add value to their comments? That will get you hired faster than a resume. Resume is two-dimensional, just says some stuff. Right. Being a person, that is what gets you hired because now you're saying, oh, I like this Florid guy. He's a creative thinker. I really like that last comment. That was great. He asked me about me. Wow, my goodness. Wasn't just trying to sell me stuff. That's the secret. Givers get. Don't try to take, try to give. Two hands. And if you keep giving away with the one, you can keep catching with the other. So the more you give, actually, the more you can receive. I know it's very counterintuitive. I would tell people I'm the absolute most selfish person they're ever going to meet. I beg your finest pardon, you are not. I said, oh, I beg your finest pardon, I am. Let me tell you why, because I love to feel good. If I can help you, I feel good. And I want to feel good all the time. So you're just going to benefit from my selfishness. And then they would chuckle a little bit. Oh, okay. Truthfully, though, I am very selfish because I do want to feel good. And if I can help somebody to get what they want, I feel fantastic. It's a wonderful life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the way that you have that word selfish and
I can either, again, I can either just take what I can have or I can get an army of people giving to me. Which is easier?
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any sense to me that people don't figure this out. I can take one thing or I can get 1,000 people to give me stuff and I can give it back to another 1,000 people. Well, that's way better. And to be fair, I'm going to have a little bit here and there. It'd be silly not to.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, I've got way more than I'll ever need. Okay?
Ooh, okay. Most of the jobs that are not usually kept out on LinkedIn or any job boards, it's always they hire probably within their networks.
Yeah.
People whom they know with the right skills.
Yeah.
Or maybe people whom they met in the networking session.
It's absolutely a truth. we tend to gravitate towards people that make us feel safe or make us feel good. And if somebody makes us feel safe or good, we want more of them in our lives. And you don't get that from a piece of paper or from anybody can be perfect. As a matter of fact, you reminded me of what I used to tell people in career development is, Florid, there's 2 times in your life when you're perfect. Once is when you're born. The second is on your resume. So don't worry about that. It's a necessary thing because it's a necessary thing. I'm not going to opinionate too much on it, but the hidden job market is what we refer to that as. I like to refer to it as the connections that we have. You can call it, it's not hidden. There's a very interesting person. He's out of, I think he's in Louisiana now, but he had I wish I could remember his name, and of course I'll remember it when it doesn't make sense, but he is a social scientist, and he has an actual equation for networking. Is that your social income, which is what we get with people, is actually equal to the knowledge of our network, by the access to that network, by the augmentation of that network, and the utilization of that network to develop a social capital. Social income equals social capital when you have those things together. It's a pretty fancy way to say, be a good person and help other people.
Yes.
And if you do that, people see that. People don't want that guy or that girl, the one that seems to not do their work, you're doing their work for them, or, it's just very disheartening to see that there's still a lot of folks like that. They haven't learned the basic rules, but they're there. Okay, but nobody wants to willingly bring them on board. They want somebody that's going to be a good support person. So take that time and ask somebody. One of my favorite questions that I ask people to ask in an interview or when they're meeting somebody is, Florid, I'm curious. And I always say that, I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm curious. That's the start of it. Florid, I'm curious. Can you share with me something you're looking for that's going to help you in your role? Or the other one, if you're in an interview setting, I'll ask folks to ask this question to say, well, Florid, thank you very much for your time. I'm curious. If we could say that it's a year from now and the team has achieved all their goals and actually blown past more than a few of them, what was my role on the team to help the team achieve these goals? So you're doing a few things now, neuro-linguistic programming, neuro-linguistic anchoring. You're also using an emotive response. You're creating a satiety emotionally and professionally with you in the middle. You're driving through their brain, throwing out rainbows and lollipops. Of course they want you. But more importantly, now what you get is you get a year-long blueprint of what you're going to do in that role.
Right.
Why do we not celebrate what we do? Why do we not celebrate what other people do? Seems a lot more fun to me. Cheer for everybody, and then when it's your turn, they cheer for you. It's very elemental. Just people forget it. They think it needs to be more complex.
Right.
Not really. Just do good things. Good things happen.
Yes.
And then when bad things happen, hopefully they don't last too long.
Sure.
I would tell people on a constant, because I saw job seekers at very difficult times, and I would say, don't worry about finding misery, Florid. It will find you. It has your number. It knows your email. You can change your phone. It's got your phone number. It's got your address. What doesn't know where you are is the happy things. So go and look for those all the time and celebrate them all the time. It's not something that you need to worry about, because if you're just concentrating on finding happy things and the bad things find you anyway, at least you had a better time. Just saying. Yeah.
Right. Amazing. So you are now an AI adoption expert.
Yep. Well, that's what I call myself anyway.
Specifically for the people with physical or cognitive barriers, I would say.
Well, to me, it's a great equalizer. Yes.
Right. So is AI a threat? Or in your own words, is it something that ultimate equalizer?
So one of the things, much like anything else, it's both.
Okay.
So it's an equalizer and it's a threat. So I can use a butcher's knife to feed an entire community. I can cut the meat and do this, or I could do some harm to somebody. It's a tool. That's all it is. So what the differentiator is the intent of that tool. What do you intend with that tool? So in the news very recently, there's been some high-level discussions on what should we be using these tools for. One group says, we want assurances you're going to do good stuff. And the other group says, we'll do whatever we want with it, it's ours. And that group said, not with our tool. But very quickly, somebody else poked up and said, well, you can do it with ours. So again, it comes down to the intent of what it is. And information itself is nothing. If knowledge was power, the military would run the libraries. It's not. Application of knowledge is, and that's where it's dangerous. It's dangerous for us to learn, Florid. It's dangerous for us to learn that we're not encapsulated in this tombstone career field. It's dangerous that we can do different things. Entrepreneurs, we try to beat that out of you in school. When the Industrial Revolution came along, they had all these independent thinkers back then. They were people that could build the table. We don't want that, Florid. We want you to just build one leg. And that guy's going to build the skirt, and that girl's going to build the top, and this feller's going to put it together. We don't want you to build the table. There was no Walmart. They were craftsmen. And we had to erase that out of our culture because it didn't work for the economic machine. So this is why I feel that AI is an extremely disruptive tool, because it puts a crazy amount of power in the hands of regular, everyday people. If you know somebody that's neurodivergent, at times they can be very hard to understand. Why are you asking the same questions? Why do you need so many answers? Why? Oh my. Okay, fair enough. But that is their processing. What if we had an AI that we could program very deliberate answers, not to just take things and hallucinate, but somebody who's neurodivergent and wants to drill in and find all the things there, but nobody else is really interested. But they can play with this in their own time, in their own space, and it's never going to make fun of them. It's never going to bully them. It's never going to run out of patience. It's never going to be rude. It's never going to judge them. It's just going to treat them like an equal. I think that's pretty spectacular. So a friend of mine runs a support group for adults in Kitchener. And I said, what are you doing there? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not doing nothing. I said, oh, well, can I give you an idea? Oh, okay. So he runs a workshop for adults with significant developmental disabilities. So these are people that just won't have an ability to live on their own. So I said, well, wouldn't it be fascinating? We could get them to get an idea for a comic book. Like Batman, who's actually like a literal bat, or Catman or Ratman or whatever. Or maybe Batman who looks like a wooden baseball bat. I don't know. It's up to them. But then we take an AI construct and get them to write a story with the 4 elements in the beginning, suddenly, fortunately, the end. And then we get it to make some images for them, and then they can color those images. And then we put the book together, and 6 weeks later, their family comes and sees all the published authors in the room. They would never have that. Not in 1,000 years.
Wow.
Until AI came. It's not the tool. It's the intent.
Right.
That's a secret to me anyway.
So with the fast pace of all those AI tools coming every day into the market,
It's a little bit much.
all those changes with the existing tools, along with the new tools that coming, how do you track off all of them? I mean, how do you stay current with that?
What a great question. And the answer is, I'm weird. And I know that sounds like an odd answer. So my brain, I do have attention deficit disorder. I am neural atypical. I am not your average person. When I was a year old, I could read. I knew animals. I could read and recognize letters at a year. I was not normal by that measure. So by the time I was in grade 2, I was reading Hardy Boy Mysteries. That's what I read when I was a young feller. Were these hardcover books. There was about 100 of them. And I would sit in the back of the class, very antisocial, reading a book. Everyone else is reading Mr. Muggs, which was like Dick and Jane. Mr. Muggs, it was a big shaggy sheepdog. Mr. Muggs runs down the lane. I'm reading 150-page hardcover books a couple of weeks. So for me, my brain works very, very quickly. However, I use a lot of tools as well. So thank you for asking. So one of the things I will do, and I know this sounds odd, but this is me, is my brain works very, very rapidly. I'll watch a YouTube video at twice the speed with my headphones on with the closed captions. And then I will take that transcript and throw it in an AI model and say, I want you to test me, Pareto's principle, test me on the 20% that lets me have 80%. Then I will take that idea and ask somebody who wants to learn about it and try to explain it to them. So I'm hitting different educational schemas for myself. I'm using auditory, using tactile, using theoretical, and then I'm trying to reinforce that learning by explaining it. And what I find is that I'm probably in the top 0.5% of people that use AI in a practical way. I am not a machine language expert. I understand machine language purposes and focus. I mean, if you ask me to program in some of them, okay, well, that's no. But what I can do is understand the process of it. So again, using these tools, I use a Notion database. I use Obsidian for mind maps. I use YouTube. I also use my own customized GPTs, which I will have to put data in and then ask me questions. Notebook LM is really good for that. It's an inexpensive, free tool. I also like to talk with it. What are you using it for? Well, we're using Claudebot. It's great. I'm like, I'll wait. I don't necessarily think I want a piece of software running my life just yet. Good thing I did because, Google slapped a penalty with them. And again, do you need to keep up with everything? Or do you need to collect a tribe of people where everybody has a little nugget? And then you have a community, again, one hand open, one hand gives, one hand receives, and you share. I don't. I just find other people that are interested in other stuff than me that I can support them. So we're raising the tide for each other. We're all going to find safe harbor that way. Don't try to keep up with it. It's insane. But find other people. Like I don't do images. I know a few people that do. I don't do the voice AI. I know a few people that do. I am not into the security. I'm not a full stack developer. I know a few people that do. And then we get together when we can share things with each other and we all make each other better. It's simple.
Interesting. That's the way of giving and sharing.
Yeah. But isn't that what we're supposed to do? This has been my constraint throughout my life. I thought we were supposed to help each other. I thought that's kind of what it was. And then we had different cultural inventions and different, Marshall McLuhan, who is a Canadian and had defined, he's a communications expert, defined the message controls the medium and the medium defines the message. So if you're talking on television, radio, mass media, it's a mass message. Well, now we have the internet, which is splintered. And now we have what's been defined as retribalization. So find your tribe. So Florid, if you want to find the other 4 or 5 people that want to march down Main Street, London on Thanksgiving Day, dressed in Imperial Stormtrooper costumes, shouting out Shakespeare's third act of Macbeth in Aramaic while wearing red bandanas, you guys can find your tribe. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, the problem is that now you've defined your tribe, which is great, but it's so specific and so niche that we don't know how to connect and communicate with others.
Exactly.
So you need to have overlap.
Right.
But don't Jones on somebody because they want to do that. You clap for them from the sidelines.
Yes.
That's not my jam. But that's okay because next week you're going to come watch me and I'm going to rug hook with sweet potato noodles. Okay.
Awesome. I'm just curious, which book are you reading right now?
Oh,
or what topic basically interests you?
I read so many. So I read different books at different times of the day. So what I'm trying to focus in on now is letting my brain rest when I read. So I'm just reading some fun books. So I really enjoy epic fantasy. So I really enjoy these books that are, 15, 16 in a series. Terry Goodkind, or most people are familiar with, George R.R. Martin, Game of Thrones, things like that. So I love those types of books. But for me as a business person, I'm rereading again The Theory of Constraints, Lyra Goldratt. So this talks about identifying a constraint in your process. But what it reveals is the next constraint. So it's about how to ask better questions not how to get the answers I want per se. I'm finding myself leaning more into visual storytelling. Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, love him. I also like Mr. E's Histories. He's talking about fun things. There's Mr. Global on Facebook. These are just like 2 or 3 minute little things. But it's a constant digestion of political, economic, values-based human things that I really enjoy. I follow Huberman. He's very interesting, but you have to be in the mindset to get through the very high science and biology that Huberman brings. But then I'll also watch Jimmy Carr, who's a comedian, but seems to have a very interesting lens on life itself. So I try to have a wide spectrum because I'm just curious. I'm wondering what else is out there. And there's a lot.
Yes.
And I'm just disappointed I won't get through it all, but boy, I'm trying. Just sharing that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So being an AI adoption expert at this point, what your current product looks like, or what project are you currently working on?
There's a few. Okay. So what we are doing right now in our business, and thank you for asking, by the way, we're working on a governance-based content operating system. So by using governance, what the framework is, if you think of a country has a governing body. It has a government. Okay, and then there needs to be somebody to enforce the rules. That's your judiciary, your judges and your police. They're people that make sure the rules are adhered to. And then you have the regular folks that, well, they go willy-nilly and need a little bit back on track. So what the governance model in a content operating system does is it allows people to communicate, yet keeps the voice on brand. So this is the reason why when you look up Apple, it knows you're looking for a phone, not a fruit, because the company has a governed content operating process. So we go through 3 stages. The first is to define the voice of the organization. That's done through looking at what's already there. How are people interacting with it? What level are you at? Where are you talking in the sales funnel, which is 3 stages. Top of the funnel, it's wide. Oh, here's problems. The middle of the funnel, where people make a lot of decisions, is here's a problem that looks like one you have. And then the bottom of the funnel in a sales process is, here's our solution to your problem, we should talk. So you catch, and then you filter, and then you process. So the application looks at your voice, what you're already saying, the channels you're in, and then takes a measured scope. Are you more empathetic? Are you clarity? Are you energy? There's 7 poles that it goes. There's about 9,000 different mathematical tonal variations. I know that sounds very technical, but we can make your voice sound a lot like you. Bottom line. Step 1, the voice. What's being said, how do you want to say it? Step 2 is what's called a topical map. So what the machine, Google and other things understand is not what you and I understand. The machine's a machine, and it knows that it needs to be in a logical order. But humans, we pop like popcorn in a hot skillet on different topics. Very interesting, but Google doesn't like that, doesn't understand that. So by having a topical map, if you think of it like a tree, the top of the tree is the sector, might be healthcare. Okay, under that fans out into 10 buckets. So we might have elder care, mental care, youth care. These buckets are under healthcare, what you do, but in the bucket, we've got little spokes of stories. So in elder care, it might be physical, mental, spiritual, community. There's maybe, let's say 20 or 30, let's say 10 in each section of your funnel. So mathematically, if I have one sector and then I have 10 buckets, yet each bucket has 30 topics, it doesn't take very long to get to several thousand topics that you can talk about. Yet, if we don't talk about them in a structured way, what happens is it drifts and it just goes higgledy-piggledy, willy-nilly. We don't want that. We want to have a structure. So that's what the system is designed to do, is to say, you know what, this hub has these spokes, and these spokes also connect to it. So we can talk about this and develop an authority which showcases experience and expertise so that your clients trust you. But we're going to do it in a way that Google understands, but we're going to do it in a way that people want to read.
Right.
So that's that topical map. The third leg of the stool, we make content. But we don't just make any content. It's very interesting because I am the reflector in our business, and my partner Adam is a teacher. So he is the guide. And these are the tonal brand voice that we've described. And Brad, our other partner, he's a coach. And we actually get the AI to write. And we do not hide that it is AI. We actually celebrate that it's an AI, and we call it the AI, the mechanic, because it's mechanical. So it's interesting because the mechanic will write an article, and then we will write supporting articles on it, and they're all very tonally different. Even though they say similar things, they each take an individual approach. So we call our product Jensen. Tony Stark has Jarvis, we have Jensen. Okay. I'm reminded of an English butler for whatever reason, very staunch and professional, very rigid, because that's what Jensen is. No excuses. So you might say, Chris, can I do this today? Jensen says, no, Florid, that's not on the menu. The menu's this. And I might say, well, Florid, it's only one time, but Jensen says no. So as a business, what happens is when you first start to drift, it doesn't seem like much. So let's say I'm going to walk 35 feet across the room. This is a nice big room. And if I have a zero focus, I end up exactly where I want after 30 feet. Does 1 degree sound like a lot? It's only 1 degree. What if I move 1 degree off course? I'm not going to end up in the same spot.
Sure.
Now, what if that length isn't just 30 feet, but it's 3 miles? And I'm 1 degree off. Oh my. And this is where the content comes into business, is when you have that small drift, that compounds over time, as well as the governance compounds over time. So the first 3 to 5 to 6 months are kind of like, I can't believe why we're doing this. This is so frustrating. But you know what happens at the end of the year? You didn't spend an extra $75,000 rewriting all your content. So this is what the process is. This is the main application that we have. There's other subsidiary applications, but they are also based on a governance model, not a this feels good model. Okay, that might feel good, but it's not necessarily what we want.
Right.
So we take the human out of it to put the human back in the loop at the end. So the process is 80% the machine, 20% the human. Writing one article with our process goes through 26 different edits at different stages.
Wow.
It's not just we write it once. No, we're not going to write it once, because writing it once is what the machine wants. We need the human in the loop. So again, most of our integration is code-based, not language model-based. So very simply, a language model has a token, it takes a chunk, and it says, well, that chunk is probably this compared to that, so this is probably the next thing based on my data, and here you go, here's Florid, here's your thing. It's generative, it makes stuff, it's pre-trained, it has guidelines, and it's a transformer. It makes that into this. Okay, problem. Sometimes it likes to be happy and please you and just says, well, this is pretty close. No. You asked earlier, is it a threat? AI doesn't have good taste.
Okay.
Doesn't have ethics. So on both of those are threats. Because AI can put out slop, and it can also make decisions that you wouldn't make as a person. So we need guardrails. So that's what we've done. Is about, I'd say probably about 70 to 75% of our integration process is code. Is saying, okay, here's the guidelines. Did it meet it? Yes or no? No. Okay, well then you need to fix it here. Now does it meet it? Yes or no? No. Okay, then you need to go here. After 3 tries, if it still fails, it kicks off as an error. Something went wrong. Okay, so then redo it. Oddly enough, it usually does it and fixes it. So everything we do is based on governance. Everything we do is based on your voice, your topical map, your instruction. We have another tool. I said that your future lives in the comments of LinkedIn. Thank you for asking, because we have a tool that sits in your browser that makes comments in your voice by reading up to 60 posts, so it stays on brand and it stays on point, and you get to pick. It just gives you an idea and a suggestion. So you hit comment and it does its magic, and it thinks, says, Florid, here's 3 options. I'm going to add a couple words. Yeah, boop. And then it rains down confetti, because who doesn't celebrate a job well done? I'm just saying. The other tools that we have, again, they're really boring tools. So it might look at your email and say, Florid, it's been a while since you got this email. Did you want to respond? It looks to be urgent. Here's a draft written in your voice. So it can save a lot of time. It can save a lot of energy. What about a pizza place? Go to a pizza place and you go, do you order, well, that's Indian food. So you're an Indian and you're a great cook, had your own restaurant. Would you go and order different things all the time if you were going to eat out? Or would you like comfort? Which one would you personally go for? Would you order the same meal over and over again?
It usually depends on my mood and basically what I really want to have in that moment of time.
So you're a food person.
Yes.
So I'm a lazy person. I'm going to order the same thing because I know it and I like it and I don't want to think about it. So for the person who wants to be a bit creative, I can measure it. You know what, Florid? He doesn't ask for the same thing all the time. That Chris guy does. This guy's got the creativity of a turnip. Okay, and you know what? He orders every Tuesday at 6:00. What about an AI that calls me at 5:30? Hey, Chris, how you doing? Are you ready for the regular? We got it in the oven. Yeah, okay. And you know what? We got a special this week on garlic sticks. Okay. So here's another way that we can use AI in a very predictive way, and it can support humanity. That's the intent, not the tool. Thank you for asking. What a wonderful question, and I hope I answered that one. I have a lot to say because we do a lot.
I love that the way you explain the entire idea of having AI with an intent.
Yes, I feel it's irresponsible not to.
Yes.
Yet that's my lens.
Yes.
So I guess if you ask me what do we do in our business, I would say we're on a quest. We're on a quest to teach people that AI needs them. They don't need AI.
Absolutely. So human in the loop is very essential.
Oh yes.
Yes. we have already passed the era where everyone was questioning that, hey, is AI is really going to take our jobs?
Yeah, AI is not going to take your job.
Yes.
Your toaster is not going to replace your kitchen. That doesn't work that way.
Absolutely.
Good gracious.
Yes.
Now, if you fast forward 50 years and we've created actual artificial generative intelligence with neural nets and, okay, maybe. But at the end of that day, you know what? There's going to be a lot of other things that AI gave us too. Hopefully they gave us an economy that's not based on shiny things and fantasies. When I say that, I'm talking about gold. Elon Musk is worth how many trillions? Like, can you go get that out of a bank? It's fantasy.
Yeah.
Our economy is all based on the fact that we've all agreed to fantasize to the same illusion that this is worth some sort of value.
Exactly.
Okay. Maybe one day we'll wake up.
I'll come back to this entrepreneur edge that you have. How did it all started? When did you get that idea that, hey, I really want to build something using AI, and then specifically with the idea that you have, and now you have a product, right?
Yeah.
So how is that performing?
I'm so grateful you're asking this, and I may get a little emotional, and that's fine. I'm fine with it. I find that emotion and specifically grief is love without a place to land. That's all grief is. Is you still have love, you just don't have somebody to catch it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'd been in the career development sector for a long time, and politically, the government wants taxpayers. That's what they want. They are a machine that needs to be fed. They can't keep feeding unemployed people. Employed people need to feed the machine their taxes. That is what that system is designed for. And as somebody who does not conform to rules that don't make all the sense to them that they need to, I guess that's somewhat of a definition of an entrepreneur. Somebody that knows the rules and just doesn't like them, going to go make their own.
Yes.
I couldn't keep in good conscience working in the way that I was. I was constrained at that time by the rules and regulations of the funders, who are in their ivory towers in the middle of cities that aren't here. So I couldn't do it anymore. And I had a bit of a time and I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. And my contract ended, and I took off to Portugal with my wife for 5 weeks to visit her family. And I got back and thought, okay, well, now I've got to look for a job. Okay. So as I'm looking around, a friend of mine, Mary, says, you need to meet Peter. He's a client of mine. I said, oh, okay. So Peter was her client in his early 70s at the time, who had a full career in marketing. For whatever reason, Peter and I got along like butter and toast, like peas and carrots, like Simon and Schuster. We were just wonderful with each other. It was amazing. And we just started clicking on things. And I said to Peter, you're retired? And he said, yeah. I said, yeah, not anymore. What do you mean? I said, you and I are going to do something. I don't know what. But there's a reason that we met. And then literally a month later, we went to a little tiny networking group in the middle of a bar downtown London. And somebody gets up and talks about AI. And I thought, this is glorious. This is amazing. So I said to Peter, I know what we're going to do. We're going to do this. I said, oh, okay. So this was very fledgling at this moment. And it was very funny because I had no idea at all what I was going to do. I just knew that I could do it. So it was a very interesting process, and it was very cathartic. It was very purging because for the first 50 odd years of my life, I'd always worn a cape. I was taught how to wear a cloak of who I really am. Peter didn't care. I could just be me. I could be crazy. I could have all these ideas. I could pepper him with that, and he'd just laugh and say, okay, no, let's get back on track here. You're a little, okay. So we built this, and we kept building it, and we had the idea to create Jensen. We started building it. Jensen's been in production for over a year. Like, this is not something that happened in a moment.
Right.
We use AWS servers. We've got a full tech stack. We're pushing it through Vercel, hosted on GitHub. I wanted to make sure that there weren't a bunch of security holes. Everyone's vibe coding. Well, good for you. I'd rather make it good than fast. So the Navy SEALs have a saying that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Practice slowly, speed comes. So unfortunately, last August, Peter passed very suddenly. And I'm emotional because that was the day that we had the minimum viable product, was the day that he left. It was very hard. And he ended up in the hospital being difficult to breathe. And 13 days later, he was gone. Like, it was so fast. And Brad and Peter and I, so Brad, we'd taken Brad on and the part of our Three Musketeers. And it was just unfortunate. So then I had said to Brad, I said, okay, this is in August. And I said to Brad, okay, we owe it to Peter now. This is something that this has to happen. We have to bring this forward. So we did. And August, September, October, November, December, January, February, we had the minimum viable product. If anyone's ever worked in business or software before, you know what a sketchy mess that is. And Brad and I said to each other, we can't take this to market with Peter's memory, and it is a Dr. Zeus looking machine. It has to be a little bit better than that. And it is. It's there now. And if you are on our blog, and the website's still being knit together, but we called ourselves Omnipresence, Press. Omnipresence is to be present everywhere, yet omnipresence is to be everywhere with your content. So our tool will build out a 3,500 to 5,000 word blog with topical authority based in your voice, with all the SEO, AI SEO, with tips and tables, citations, internal links and external links. And then it truncates that into about 60 socials, does it all in less than 20 minutes. And all you do is say yes or no. And Peter would be very proud. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got his dog. So when he got sick, I said, Jesse, he's a 15-year-old Maltese. I said, you're in here and the family's okay. And how's Jesse? Well, Jesse's fine. I said, well, if anything happens, not that I'm predicting doom, but we've had Jesse now since August. And he's just this little 6-pound Maltese. And he's got the weirdest little, it's not a bark, it's a bork. But I'll come home and he is totally imprinted on me. I'll sit down and he will jump and jump and jump. And then he comes and he puts his hands on me, puts his paws on me on the other side, just kisses my face. But it's kind of like, it's you. And he's just there. And it just reminds me again of whatever we do in life, go with purpose. The Japanese figured that out a long time ago. Ikigai. Go with purpose. So you asked earlier on about how do we help people when they are in that transition piece. We find purpose. You know, what are you proud of? What do you want to do more of? How do you want to be seen? What do you want to be known for? Never mind how much you want to make, because I've seen some pretty wealthy people that are pretty miserable. And I've seen some people below the poverty line that are some of the happiest people I know. So live with love, live with passion, live with focus, live with purpose. That's the secret. Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable with the actual situation. And I'm sorry to hear that.
Brad and I decided that when we have got a good income going, that Fanshawe is going to have a memorial fund in Peter's name.
Absolutely.
That's our purpose.
Absolutely. I love that.
Just saying.
Love that. Well, we have came to the very end of the podcast.
Thank you.
Final thoughts. Let's say if someone watching this and they are in a position where everything is against them.
Yep.
What would be your one advice, or what would be the tiniest thought they should have tomorrow morning when they wake up?
Ask yourself, when's the last time I had some fun? And if you can't answer that quickly, that's what you need to start with. Because your problems are still going to be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But you know what might not be there is finding some happiness and some joy. And if you can't do it yourself, you need to call somebody. And that's okay. We have this lens that we need to be strong like cast iron, right?
Yes.
Well, the problem with cast iron is if you hit it hard enough, it shatters. Bamboo bends. Steel breaks. So which would you rather be? You know, the Japanese have a technique for creating swords where they fold the metal over and over again. And actually what happens is they beat it and heat it just like life, and then it has to come back into its own to heal. That's what you need to realize. You've been beat and you're in the heat. Y'all need to come back to the middle and cool off. But Chris, I don't have any money. Okay, I don't remember laughter costing. I don't remember a conversation costing. Take 10 minutes and go talk to somebody that you really trust. Go watch a funny movie. Go watch a funny video. Remember a funny thing. Go find that person and say, oh, Florid, do you remember the time we did that? Thank goodness there weren't cameras back then. Whew. That's what you need to do.
Right.
If it's been too long since you had a good old belly laugh, stop what you're doing and go find some fun. Because the misery's got you and it's going to keep finding you.
Yes.
So go look for fun. Step one. Yeah. Thank you for asking. That's another very good question.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris, for being here. It's an honor to have you, and it was a great session, great conversations, and wish I could have met Peter before.
Yeah. I've got more stories of him too.
And thank you very much. I definitely look forward for future sessions with you, and I wish you all the best for the omnipresence with the having a fund in memory of Peter at Fanshawe College.
It's already happened in my mind. So I just wanted to say to the audience, if you like this podcast, you need to contact Florid, because this is one of the best podcasts I've ever done. And he's genuine and patient, and this is something you need to do.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for watching the entire podcast, and share it at least one person whom you think might get inspired and gain the same value that you did.